You did everything right. You watched the level, you waited, you saw price push through with some energy behind it, some Momo, and you enter the trade. Textbook setup, clean execution. And then it reversed, straight back down. Your stop went, 5 minutes later, price went exactly where you thought it was going, but without you in the trade. Who's been there? I have too. That's not bad luck. That is not a random market event. That's a trap. And after more than 3 decades of watching this exact sequence play out again and again, I can tell you it happens for a reason. It happens consistently. And once you understand the mechanism behind it, you can stop being the one who funds the move. Here's what most traders think when they get stopped out of a breakout. They think they read the chart wrong. They think their timing was off. They think they need a better indicator, a tighter pattern, or maybe a different time frame. That's the wrong diagnosis. And chasing that diagnosis keeps people stuck for years. It actually erodes your confidence while it's eroding your capital. The actual problem is not the pattern. The pattern was fine. The actual problem is not knowing what happens at a key level just before price makes a real move. And what happens is not random. Institutions move size, big, meaningful size. And when you need to move size in a market, you can't just put in an order and hope there are enough sellers on the other side. You need liquidity. You need people to be selling into your buy or buying into your sell. Where does retail liquidity cluster? Right above resistance levels, stop orders, breakout entries, traders doing exactly what the textbook says, all sitting in the same spot. So what does the big money do? Pushes price to that level. It triggers those stops. It uses that retail flow as the liquidity it needs to build their position. And they pull back. The retail traders who entered the breakout are now underwater and their stops get hit. And then price goes. That's the false breakout, not a random hiccup. It's a deliberate, repeatable pattern on where retail traders are predictably positioned. I traded through the dot-com collapse and through 2008, through flash crashes, through wars, through the pandemic, all that volatility. Thousands and thousands of hours watching price interact with key levels. And this dynamic has never changed because human behavior at key levels have never changed. People are still people. I got caught in this early in my career, multiple times. We have to make the mistakes before we recognize what's going wrong. And I'm no different. I had the patterns memorized. I understood support and resistance. I still got stopped out on breakouts that went exactly where I expected them to go later, just not with me in them. The shift happened when I stopped asking what the chart looked like and started asking who was on the other side of the trade. Once you start asking that question seriously, everything you read about a breakout changes. So what is the difference between a false breakout and a real one? It's commitment, it's participation, it's size. A real institutional move through a level shows up in how price behaves, not just where it touches. A false break is almost like a probe. It's price reaching into the liquidity pool above resistance, testing it, triggering orders, and then pulling back. The candle that does this often will have a long upper wick. It touched a level higher, maybe pushed slightly through it, but it couldn't hold there in subsequent candles. And that's price doing a job, not starting a move. It's a testing, it's a probe. I call it poking at the highs and poking at the lows. A real break will not just poke, but it will close near the highs. And then the next candle will have a higher high and a higher low. You'll see the follow through. That's what a real break looks like. The body of the candle is above resistance, and you'll see the subsequent candles stay above the low of that candle. And when you see a second close above another level still, you're looking at confirmation that the break is being defended and that the sellers are not overpowering the buyers. They're not fading it successfully. Retail enters on the touch, that initial poke or push, and usually at the highs. Big money waits a little bit longer. It's like a machete through the jungle. Is the path clear? Remember, they have enough size to test areas. That one difference, that single filter, eliminated most false breakout traps. I don't want to be the first one to go. I don't mind waiting. In fact, one of the things I say in my trading room is optimize for slowness. In a world of faster and faster and quicker, be a little bit more deliberate. The poke might be a signal. We know testing is occurring. Another candle with a higher low is more convincing because when the price pulled back, buyers stepped in sooner. 2 candles holding above previous lows is much better confirmation. So again, deliberate, optimize for slowness. And when you see that pattern, you're no longer chasing a breakout. You're entering a confirmed structural shift, not by chasing the high, but realizing that oftentimes after that poke, price will come back down. Let me walk you through how this actually works in practice. You identify a level, real resistance, one that price has respected multiple times. The more touches, the more stops are clustered there. That actually increases the odds of a false break before the real move. So be aware of that. Price starts pushing up into that resistance level. Don't enter. Remember, that's the probe, that's the poke. You wait. Price is pushing through, it's testing things. A candle is going to close, and then you'll see what the high and low of that candle was. On breakouts, focus on the low. On breakdowns, focus on the high. So don't participate in the poke. It's a strong body we're looking for, not just some wick play where we're FOMOing in. FOMO is not a signal. I'm going to be waiting. It's still not an entry for me yet personally. I want to see what comes next. I'm optimizing for deliberateness. If the next candle also has a close just above that level with a higher low, now I've got better agreement. Now I've got a better idea of where the buyers are selling in. So those 2 candles, hopefully one that established the low and the next candle that had a higher low, is telling me which direction we're going. They're holding structure. That's when I start looking for an entry. So where does the stop go? Well, it's not an arbitrary dollar amount below the entry. The stop goes below the level that was just broken. And usually, again, I'll focus on the breakout candle low. Because if price comes back through that level and closes below the level, the trade might still be fine. I don't want it to close below the low of the breakout candle. Or, in the case of a breakdown, the high above that breakdown candle, not the level itself, right? You can get manipulated there. Full stop. The stop location is telling you, if this happens, I was wrong and I exit. That is a thesis stop, not a noise stop. The entry is after the second confirmation of a breakout, a higher low, or a breakdown, the lower high. So the stop is below that break level, not at it. It's clean, it's logical, and it's defensible. Because that way, if it comes back down to fill more orders, you're not getting stopped out on that retest. Here is where most traders undo good entries with bad management. You finally got the entry right. You're looking for the candle patterns. You waited. You confirmed your position correctly, and then you exit everything at the first sign of profit because you're scared it's going to reverse again. Real breakouts extend. Sometimes breakouts will actually organize into an uptrend, so have a way to monitor whether the market's transitioning from chop to trend. That's the whole point. Continue to monitor structure beyond that point. And if you're right about the structure, price is going to keep going. Also, if you're an intraday trader, look at time. Expecting follow through before 10 a.m. can be a tricky proposition because that's the opening range and the initial balance. For a lot of traders, as soon as they hit T1, they sell everything. Or as soon as they go positive in their trade, they sell everything. And that means you captured a fraction of the actual move. What I prefer is a tiered approach. I take a portion off the table. I scale out once price has moved to my first target. It's moved a meaningful distance from entry. For me, if it's an option contract, it's 25% of premium gained. Then I let the remainder run with a stop at break even until I hit the second target. If I hit the second target, I move my stop to the first target. So I ratchet up or down with the trade. So it's not a mechanical automatic trailing, it's ratcheting with fixed levels and giving the market some distance to continue moving so that I'm not smothering the trade. So a structural trail means you're watching how price is behaving and you're moving your stop levels in such a way that would tell you the move is losing commitment. The reason I like to not actively trade with a trailing stop is that what happens is traders start to smother unrealized profit. They don't want to give it back and they trail too tightly. You'll notice I ratchet. So I'm using the structure of the first target as a stop loss once I hit the second target. If I hit the third target, I still have more contracts, I'll move the stop loss to the second target. So I'm locking in profit without smothering the trade. So that way, if price stops making progress on the direction of my trade, when I start seeing candles that show exhaustion, rather than extending in my direction, I can take the position off without losing everything I made, right? We never want to let a winner turn into a loser. So you protected profit on the second exit, but I want to talk about the first exit for a moment. The first exit is what traders usually get wrong. You protect your capital going to the first exit. In fact, I like to say the first target is risk management. That's where you get to move from a risk-based stop of your money to a break-even stop. And this way you're only risking house money or unrealized profit. And you're not going to let a winner turn into a loser. Capturing a full move usually means a second or a third target. That means you've got multiple contracts. And that is how real breakouts can really turn into account growth trades. And you can't be in a hurry. You've got to let price move around a little bit, but you're moving the safety net up in such a way that you're, again, not smothering the trade, you're giving it some room to move. One more thing before we close, because the technique is only useful if you can actually execute it under pressure, real time. The false breakout trap is not just a technical problem, it's really an emotional one. This is where FOMO kicks in. I have JOMO, the joy of missing out, right? Try that. Be more deliberate. Don't function on FOMO. Don't chase wicks. When price pushes through a level you've been watching, there's an urgency, there's an anxiousness, there's an excitement, right? A voice that says, you're going to miss it. We want to get in on this. Everyone else is making money, whatever it is. And that urgency is not a signal to enter. It's a signal to slow down. Institutions count on FOMO. The surge through resistance is designed to feel real, to invite that FOMO. It has that energy to it. It has that movement. It triggers that psychological fear of missing out response that gets retail traders into positions right before the trap snaps shut. The discipline to wait for the higher low on the next candle means sitting through that urgency. It means watching the candle push through a level and not clicking the button. And it's hard. I will tell you that. It feels like you're leaving money behind. It feels like everyone else is going to get the trade, but you. But here's what 3.5 decades have taught me. The trade that does not happen cannot hurt you. And the trade that waits for real confirmation is fundamentally different in its probability profile than the trader that chases that initial push, that chases the wick. Process beats impulse. The only way to be patient is to have a disciplined process that you trust, and then you trust it every single time. All right, if this clicked for you and you want to go deeper on reading institutional behavior at key levels, I have a full breakdown on how I identify real moves versus stop hunts before price reaches the levels. I'll put the link to the PDF in the description, and if you're trading this in real time and want to see how I apply it with actual setups, come join my community, the Sector Secrets Mastery. The link's below. We work through live markets together Monday through Friday, and I talk about confirmation techniques just like this. I'll see you there.